There are different ways of describing the aspects of the subtle self. Like, I saw a video recently wherein the speaker was describing what some traditions would call the atman, which is that which is aware, that thing that is aware and therefore cannot appear in the awareness it is. He was describing that as the soul. That's not in agreement with what I would describe as the soul. The soul is a subtle thing that's observed, not with the five senses, but with the inner sense. It's the energy body, the subtle body. And the soul is something that can be described as tainted or pure, right? So different traditions will make commentary on the state of one's soul. And the flavor of one's soul has to do with what's held in mind. It's like a thing that would be strapped to your body, like a life preserver if you were in the water. And so if it has positive buoyancy, you would float. And if it has negative buoyancy, you would sink. And what determines that is the thoughts that it holds, how they color the energy body, and therefore what they are easily fed upon by. Like that soul that holds a lot of astral pressure. Astral pressure is the need of a thought to be made real. That is called desire. That is suffering. So Ramana Maharshi said that suffering is just unwanted thoughts. Unwanted thoughts are subtle forms in consciousness that want to be made real. It can be through aversion or desire. Like a thing that is aversion that wants to be made real. It's like a circumstance that a thought wants to undo. That's a desire, to change circumstance, to undo something that has been done, or a desire to make something so that isn't so. It's pressure from the astral. So like if you look at an animal, the only astral pressure that they get, the only thing in them that pushes to be real, is what immediately serves the need of their body. Whereas with a human being, we've developed this part of our brain, or this part of our brain has developed somehow, that projects astral pressure that is more complicated than just what our body needs immediately. The lower parts of our brain, so to speak, the animal brain, the amygdala and such, came about before this part of our brain that creates astral pressure was created. And it doesn't have discernment. I've mentioned that before, right? There's a part of your brain that doesn't know the difference between a thought and a real thing. And the unlimited nature of thoughts means that unconscious part of the mind can be subject to unlimited astral pressure, unlimited demands by thoughts. Like you can think of things that terrify that part of your brain, and you can really mess yourself up with uncontrolled thoughts. It's crazy making. So back to the soul, the energy body, not the atman that observes it, but the soul that it observes. The flavor of that varies between people depending on what they hold in mind. And so, like this life preserver analogy, it would take you to different places in the astral wherein dwell different types of parasites, or none at all. Like in the ascension of the energy body, the unencumbering of it from formations in consciousness that exert astral pressure, it's like a self-fulfilling thing. In that as those things fall away, the flavor of the soul itself becomes less palatable for them, and therefore they begin to appear less often. So the soul that has been unencumbered of desires, it doesn't encounter the thought forms in consciousness that exert astral pressure on it. It's interesting how these things simply don't appear. But when there's a head full of noise, it makes the energy body more palatable for those things, and they tend to pile on. Like when you see people do horrible things, there's been a tremendous amount of astral pressure applied to their soul. Like there are horrible things that want to be made manifest through them. They are formations in consciousness. The absence of these parasites creates a condition in the soul that also keeps them away, by virtue of the state of being eclipsing the product to which those thoughts would point. So there's no astral pressure because in the absence of the parasites that create suffering, the state of being is realized to be unimprovable by circumstance. And it's seen that the longing for what is or what isn't has a cost. Like, the cost can be counted by virtue of its absence being known. But when the soul is swarmed and saturated by these parasites, what would appear in their absence is wholly experientially unknown. So it's like there's never been any real space in the average person. No sense of what it's like to live without those parasites that color the soul to the vibrational level on which they feed. It's like the conditions are no longer present in which they thrive, and so they just don't come around anymore. And because their ability to draw louche is based on ignorance, the ignorance of body and mind identification, if those things are gone, even when they do come around, they can try to push buttons, but like no candy will come out of the machine. It's as if they were some things that feed on oxygen but can't live in the presence of oxygen. And therefore, when enough of them die off and it creates a space wherein this oxygen appears, they can't reclaim that space. Like, what they consume has to be transmuted to their level. And so that initial ignorance of body identification creates those first transmutations in reaction to what appears in the mind. And as long as that chain of reacting to thoughts occurs, then the energy body will be transmuted to the level of vibration that fits them. And so they can pile on. But it's like once a certain number of them are broken off, the space that's left no longer accommodates them, and they can't get back into it. But if there's ignorance of reacting, then they can reclaim it. But once the ability to react is gone by virtue of there being no unconscious sense of being the body, that one is actually identified with what's aware of the body, like the non-self nature of the gross body and the subtle body, and the thoughts themselves is realized. Like, it's just, there are things appearing in awareness, but you are that awareness. And those things that appear in awareness are dependently originated, as if there's a first cause, and from that first cause radiates all subsequent causes and manifestations resulting from them. And those things appear in awareness and have a common source, and thus they are not different from each other in their origin. And so one self is not different from another self in its origin, just like any other thing that appears in awareness. The awareness itself has no qualities, because awareness is not observable. Awareness is just what observes, but it's not a what. It's not a thing. This is right view. This is the view that stops the reacting to what happens. And in that absence of reacting is an ascension of the vibrational level to that which is no longer palatable. But the default is ignorance. As long as triggering is possible, then it's possible for the parasites to regain a beachhead. But once that machine is broken, once the reacting machine is broken, it's like I've said before, like the clapper on a bell. That bell can ring so long as there is relational thinking, the thought of being a thing to relate to other things, and therefore to have consequences that create fear. But when that I is no longer identified with as a relational agent, there's a lack of reacting to what appears, be it subtle or gross. And in that is this ascension. And the parasites simply lose their ability to reclaim and re-inhabit the space. And then you are really free, permanently. And of course, the cliche is, there is no you that gets enlightened. That's all for now.